Couples who have different sex drives, how do you make it work in the bedroom? Wife and I solved this by getting into S&M. She sleeps and I am Sturbert. Edit. Thanks for the comments and gold. Just joking. Not true. Yet. I generally have a much higher sex drive than my husband because by the time he gets back from work he's just too tired for it. Originally what we did was he would get me off when I was horny instead of having sex, but I felt like it was too clinical almost and I started finding it difficult to orgasm. What I really wanted was the closeness and intimacy that comes from having sex. So in the end we ended up settling on me waiting till the weekend to have sex. But that he'd put extra effort in on the days where he wasn't as tired. It works for us. I'd love to have more sex, but I do get a ton of cuddles in the evening which makes up for it. Scheduled fornication. Every Tuesday and Saturday is happy day. Usually in the evenings after the kids have gone to bed. It might appear boring, but it is surprisingly calming. There are no surprises. But there are also no nagging, resentment or expectations. At least for us. It's business time. This is not uncommon and could actually be beneficial in a relationship. Some go even further in scheduling time with their so. On Yukernan 2's wedding night, he told his wife that they now had a 2 rule. It goes like this. Every 2 weeks, we go out for the evening. Every 2 months, we go out for the weekend. Every 2 years, we go out for a week. He sighed that they have stuck to it. And that it really has made things awesome. I make an appointment. After 34 years it's the way it is. Meeting request. Sweet lovin'. Friday at 8. Sturbert a lot. That's what I do. I love my wife. And her libido is not nearly as high as mine. She's willing to suck it up and have sex or give blowjobs when she's not in the mood. But I feel really selfish when she does that, even though she insists I shouldn't. So, I am Sturbert. I honestly don't understand why it's that big a deal. Edit. Pronoun. Edit 2. For clarification, I would like to acknowledge, as many people have pointed out, that masturbation is not a magical solution. My wife and I have been married for a decade. And most of that has been very happy for both of us. Early on, though, the mismatched sex drives were a very big deal. And it took a lot of talking, revelations, and consideration for us to get to the point that we're at now. I understand that she's not rejecting me. She's just rejecting sex. And we both make it a point to show affection and caring in other parts of our relationship. I am always up for it. He is not. I just have sex when he wants to. He has however showed me the magical world of masturbation and has bought me several wonderful machines who will do the job when he's unable. It's pretty neat. Talk a lot to each other. I end up settling for HJs quite often. But that tides me over and honestly keeps me really happy, especially given I know she's doing it to make me happy cause she cares. And then I make sure I more than pay her back when I catch her in a situation where she is in the mood. On top of that, the fact we're open about things means I don't feel anymore I did when things first sort of slowed down, like she's not interested in it or me, or that I'm doing something wrong. Communication. We just recently decided to go with divorce. Sucks but is what it is. Edit. Thank you all for the kind words and support on what was the most stressful day I've ever had. Reddit was a beautiful distraction and incredibly helpful. I don't wait for him to start. I take control, and once I do that, he realizes he's pretty damn horny too, and then we rock out. This is a fantastic question. I have an incredibly high sex drive and my BF has an incredibly low one. One of us is in the mood but the other is not. We usually masturb together. This either one turns him on and we go at it, or two satisfies me enough to wait for the next time he is in the mood. The only real rule is that we do this together and help in whatever way we can. The other thing we do is make sure to communicate a lot about sex and what we like and how we're feeling. If I make a move and he isn't in the mood, he will be 100% honest about being tired or whatever, and then he offers to help me get off. Again. Thankfully for us that usually gets him going then too, haha. There's something important I haven't seen mentioned yet. Female birth control, especially the pill, can often lower a woman's sex drive. After my GF got off the pill, she went from being turned on once a month to 2-3 times a week. If your partner is on the pill and you're having honest discussions about making things better, try switching to a different form of birth control. Note that it takes around 2-3 months for her body to get fully rid of the hormones from the pill. Another thing to note is that a woman's sex drive basically goes to zero after she has a baby. That's natural and you'll just have to be supportive and wait it out. After lots of communication, we've realized that she doesn't enjoy it as much because she gets caught up in her thoughts and is too worried that I'm not enjoying it. This completely ruins it for her. I've found that she enjoys it the most when we've had a few beers or are just waking up. These are the times that her brain isn't quite firing on all cylinders yet. So she wants it and enjoys it without getting into her own head. She's also Catholic, so there is some inherent guilt built in there. Edit. Thank you all for the suggestions. But we have regularly talked about this and it is not a huge issue for either of us. I do everything I can to make her more comfortable with it and she enjoys it. We are getting married this year and it won't be premarital then, so that should help any subconscious guilt. As for drugs, I'm a government contractor and won't do that. Man. We need a thread about happy couples with matching sex drives who have tons of sex. I masturbate a lot. I've always had a higher sex drive than my husband. It helped that I learned how setting and timing are more important to him for SI feelings than it is for myself. I think he carries around stress more and it gets in the way of feeling in the mood. What I like to do that helps him get in a relaxed mindset is light some candles, play an album of Explosions in the Sky and give him a full body massage. Typically, barring a week or so during the month, I simply don't get horny, while he is up for it more often than not, every other day or so. So we've worked on what turns me on: vibrators, reading sci fiction, not quite erotica, but implications of activities, and lowering my stress and anxiety. Vibrators when I'm up for it, but my body isn't yet. Reading when I know he'll be in the mood for it to start getting myself ready. And lowering stress and anxiety helps extend the length of time I'll stay in the mood. It doesn't quite even the playing field, but it gets it a hell of a lot closer. I track my wife's ovulation cycle. The female libido is highest when they ovulate. It lasts for about 3-5 days. In other days I turn up the compassion, love, consideration and empathy which keeps it going. Basically, don't it up. Smart. But just in case this gets any traction at all, remember folks, that's also when she's most likely to get knocked up. Wrap it up. My wife's sex drive is rather weak, but I put on my fedora and scarf and she is ready. At the moment, we don't. Almost 6-month-old baby and wife is on the implant, so her sex drive is non-existent while mine is still fully charged. Upvoting this to hopefully get some advice as well. Not to sound weird, but is she breastfeeding? That could also be why she doesn't really feel in the mood as well. It really screwed with mine while I nursed my son. Babies change everything. Right now she probably feels like a mom machine and not like the beautiful goddess she is. Hormones are red. Everyone is tired. It's a big change. Keep that in mind. Be patient. And be extra reassuring that she's still the hot mama you were with pre-baby. GL. Unfortunately, we never found a way to make it work. We had problems before we got married and we talked about it. But I married her anyway. I didn't want sex to be the reason I didn't marry this wonderful person. But over the years, the lack of sex, even through constant communication, made me less and less attracted to her. I didn't want to have sex anymore. I started to resent her. And now we're getting a divorce. We're still young. Early 30s. and have the rest of our lives to find someone with equal passion in the bedroom. We like to have sex at different times of the day, and we just aren't into it at the same time. It's really about when we are each stressed. When we change our routines or habits, it helps kick us out of those stress routines. So, if you normally come home and watch TV, go for a walk together instead. If you come home and have dinner, put it off for a while. If you always stay home on the weekends, go camping one weekend. Both of you make an effort to alter your patterns of energy, stress, and exhaustion. See if it makes a difference. I have an extremely high sex drive. My husband, not so much. The very first thing we did was had his testosterone levels checked. Hormones being low is super common and really affects the sex drive. His testosterone was in the normal range, but on the low end of normal. So he began therapy, testosterone cream applied daily. That alone made a huge difference. He also started taking daily vitamins as he was low on vitamin D. His energy and sex drive went up significantly. Also, it's sometimes useful if you can find something, watching PRN, that you can do without expecting sex but might put you both in the mood. I think the most important thing to remember is that most people see sex as a loving thing to do. Imagine coming home to your spouse and trying to talk about your day and they said, "I don't really feel like listening today." It would make you feel like a pile of. I think it's possible to have giving sex, where you might not necessarily be in the mood, but you love your partner enough to have a quickie. It doesn't take long and means a lot. I am disturbed a lot. These answers are depressing. I'm usually the one who initiates, but fortunately my so gets turned on when I essentially throw her on the bed couch and take my shirt off. So that's usually all it takes. Our dead bedrooms. We have an open relationship. Mainly because I know my sex drive goes through massive, unpredictable periods of being completely non-existent. It's just too much pressure for me to be the sole person responsible for another person's sexual gratification. Rather he slept with other people. And it means that on the rare occasion I want to, I can too. I don't associate love with sex, so I see no reason why we shouldn't. Straight up. We have an open marriage, we've been together 10 years. He has a low libido, but does enjoy the hunt from time to time. I have a high libido, have always had a thin line between platonic good friends and physical good friends. Anything from cuddling to PRN nights to eyeing. That absolutely does not work for everyone. It's one option. You need to have no jealousy, resentment, or insecurity about it. You should both be serious about keeping yourselves and each other safe from diseases. You should also be upfront and honest about all such interactions. No, I don't want to know. And make sure to proactively put in the time and energy to continue to be physical with each other. If both people aren't on board with all of that, my advice would be to stay away. Take them out on a boat. Because of the implications. When I get home from work I whisper into her ear something dirty that I'll do to her later. Later that night if asks me if I still want to do that, I'll do it. If she doesn't ask I'll elaborate on what I will do to her the next day. Haha. By the end of the week the images of me doing dirty things to her will have played over and over in her head. She practically begs for sex. Doggy style. I sit up and beg, and she rolls over and plays dead. Compromise. Yeah. I'm tired and it's been a long day, but I love my husband and want to make sure all his needs are met. I heard having a baby helps. Baby is 12 months old. Have had sex 4 times since baby was born. Used to be 4x a week. Please send help.